Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the 7th episode of Spreadsheet Gaming. In this episode, we're going to make ourselves a random encounter table. We're going to calculate the odds depending on the roles that we have set up for that random encounter table. And then we're going to set up a market ledger and a market index. This is going to make it very easy for us to keep track of what the party purchases, sells. We can easily calculate how much gold it's going to cost them and that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing we're going to do, though, is we are going to clean up some of this data. Now, this NA stuff looks pretty ugly, so what I want to do is I want to hide it or get rid of it. And there's actually a very easy way to do that with XLOOKUP. The nice thing is XLOOKUP has a built-in ability to put in whatever you want if there is a missing value. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here, well, actually, let's explain what's going on. So XLOOKUP is looking in this cell to find a monster. Since it's not finding anything, it's given me an error. So what I'm going to do to clean up this error, in the next field, I'm just going to go ahead and put, in quotation marks, a completely empty space. I could also put zeros here if I wanted to, but in this case, I think I just prefer to just leave it blank. And then we'll go ahead and copy this, paste it all the way down. Actually, I was going to say we have to do the same thing over here, but as I recall, we actually need to hide this column. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we're good to go there. And then last but not least, all these numbers, unfortunately, you're just going to have to kind of ignore them. They shouldn't be multiplying anything, but it looks like they are just kind of running the ran between function at least once. So I would just go ahead and ignore these and just kind of recall that you have your monsters over here. All right, now that we've got that all nice and cleaned up, let's go ahead and get started with that random encounter table. So let's start by giving it a low roll, a high roll, monster, and we'll just start with that for now. Well, actually, let's think about this. So for random encounter tables, what do we typically need? Yeah, we'll probably take the hit dice, and we'll take the number appearing for sure. And usually wandering monsters or random monsters don't tend to have treasure, so we're going to leave that off. I think for the random encounter tables, we'll just go ahead and take the name, obviously, the hit dice, and the number appearing. So let me just go ahead and grab those fields. I'm going to hold Control to grab both of them. Copy. And let's go over to our new sheet. I'm going to hit Control, Shift, and V because all I want is the values there. Now let's set this up. I'm thinking 15 random monsters should be enough. Obviously, if you guys feel like adding more, that's perfectly fine. Up to you, whatever you want to do. So let's start this by doing a data validation. So we're going to start a list. We're going to do drop down from a range. And just to make it a little bit easier so I don't have to type it out, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the names there. As you guys recall, Sheets is smart enough to just realize I'm talking about this table. It's just going to grab that for me. Go ahead and hit done there. Let's go back to our sheet. And it's as simple as copying and pasting down here just to continue the data validation everywhere. Let's go ahead and complete the formula. Yeah, let's just use Bugbear as a test. We'll use our handy dandy XLOOKUP. Searching the monster that we selected. We are looking up monster record name. We want the monster record hit dice. And last but not least, why don't we use what we just learned and say if there's nothing there, or if you can't find the value, just leave nothing there. All right, and then let's do the same thing over here. XLOOKUP, search key is the same one. Lookup range is going to be monster name. And the result range is going to be monster record, number appearing. And same thing there. If we find nothing, we see nothing. And let's just go ahead, copy, paste, and we are all set up with that. Now, next step. Let's go ahead and set ourselves up a range here, and you can set up any range that you want. You can have a 20-sided die, you can roll 2d6, you can set it up however you want. It's totally up to you. But however you set it up, in this example I'm going to use a d20, but you can also use d6. You just have to kind of remember how to calculate the odds here. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's just pretend that our bugbears are, I want to see them on 1s through 3s. And let's say 4 through 7, and 8 and 9, 10, 10, 11 through 15, and 15 through 18, and 19 through 20, and I actually have to fix this here, 16. Okay, we should be good with that. So I'm going to name this column over here odds. So we're going to set up a column over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to give the dice side over here. So in my case, I'm going to say 20, and that way this formula that we're going to make is going to be dynamic. If you guys want to roll 2d6, then you might have to put a 12 in here. If you want to roll 1d100, you just go ahead and type in 100 right there. So keep that in mind. But in order to calculate the odds here, what we're going to have to do is we're going to set up the formula. We're going to take the high roll. We're going to subtract it by the low roll. That's going to give us the difference between the two. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to add 1, because that should also include the range itself. So, for example, 1, 2, and 3 should all be included there. We're going to divide that by the random encounter roll. And this is where I'm reintroducing a topic from before, where I mentioned absolute cell references. Basically what we're doing, because we don't want sheets to copy this formula and move to I3, I4, I5, what we're going to do is we're going to make this an absolute cell reference, so it's not going to move down the columns. It's going to instead stare only at this particular cell. And this right here is going to give us, oops, I forgot to close this off with another parentheses. Let me go ahead and do that. And it's saying that, oh, I picked the wrong cell. I2. There we go. Now, Google Sheets is nice enough to go ahead and autofill the rest of that calculation here. Now, you'll know you're doing it right if when you add all these numbers together, you should be getting up to 100%, because all of these numbers should encompass the 20 range, and you should be able to add all of them. Your numbers probably won't look like percentage at first. They'll probably look something like that, just in the decimal places. If you want to look at it percentage-wise, you can go ahead and just click on the percentage button up here. You can also kind of change it to other formats if you prefer, but I personally like looking at it percentage-wise. This is a quick way for you guys to not only put together a random encounter table, but also you can check and make sure the odds work for you. If you don't like that, for example, this red dragon has a 20% chance of seeing the party, then maybe you want to go ahead and switch the odds a little bit. And this is kind of a quick and easy way for you guys to do that. Let's go ahead and name our sheet here. We'll call this the Random Encounter Tables. And I can tell you guys can't really see it on my screen right now. Let me just go ahead and move it on over here. Oh yeah, something else you can do. You can move all the tabs around here if you don't like where they're at. If you guys want to access your main stuff on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, whatever's up to you. We're going to start on the market index first, and then we'll go ahead and move that on over to the market tracker video. We're going to go ahead and go back to our handy dandy data import sheet, get into our SRD over here, and let's just go ahead and grab all this data right there. Alright, we've got item and cost here, so let me go ahead and copy that. Let's put it onto this nice looking sheet, and we are going to use this as a market index. And just to go ahead and add something to it, let's give this a type. We'll call this all gear. just to make it easy for us. All right. And why don't we go ahead and add some weapons as well. And armor. Why not? Yeah. And we're going to ignore the damage and the qualities. We don't actually need any of that info. So let's go ahead and copy that. Go back to our data import sheet. Paste that. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab the weapons and the cost here. We'll paste it over here. We'll call these weapons. All right, and then this is the only one that we're going to have to clean up, it's looking like so far, but that's okay. That's no big deal. And we'll grab the armor, which looks like it's going to be the third table on this list. So let's go back to our import sheet, and we'll just call it table number 3. And there's our armor. So I'll grab, can't hold shift, got to hold control. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let's see. Ah, it worked fine. Perfect. Okay, so we've got our armor in here as well. Go ahead and call that armor. All right, we have our market index. Yeah, let's clean this up. So let's just say this is 1, and we'll have to remember, or we could just put 6x right there. And now we've got our nice clean data, our nice clean market index here. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a table. And we're going to call this our market, oops, nope, no spaces, can't have spaces. We'll call this our market index. And we'll name the sheet the same thing, market index. For the last bit, let's go ahead and make the ledger. We'll get the item, we'll get the cost, we will get the seller. And then last but not least, we're going to have a section over here for complete. Because we already have our market index, that's where I want to pull the list from. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new data validation over here. It's already up for us. We're going to pull the drop down from our new handy dandy. Got to select this data range over here. We're going to select our new market index. It already has all those items for us, so we're good to go on that front. Oh, you know what? There's something else I want to do, because we might have a quantity that we're selling. And maybe you guys can already kind of see what we have going on here, but let's go ahead and select a pole arm. And let's say that we're going to have 2 of them. And what is the cost of that item? Well, we're going to look it up. So we're going to search that item. We're going to look up the market index item column. And the result that we want is the market index cost. And then we're going to multiply that by the quantity. Oops, I tried to multiply the quantity inside the formula. We got to multiply it outside the formula. Now, for seller, you guys can put, obviously, if the players buy this item, you can go ahead and put whoever your salesman is. If the players are selling this item, go ahead and input their name in here. And the reason we want to do that is because we can filter this information, but we're also going to set something up where we can see how much it's going to cost each of the players. So I'm going to go ahead and add a few more entries here. Well, actually, what we can go ahead and do, let's just copy and come down just a little bit here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Ah, yes, we always want to do our lovely little if not found. So we'll clean all that up. Great, everything is at a 0. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and get everybody's names up here. Easiest way to do that is just come over here, copy. Let's go back, and I'm going to Control Shift and V, because all I want is their names. And if any of these guys buy, we'll go ahead and put their name in there. So let's just say Sylvis sold 5 maces. Why not? All right. Sylvis has 5 maces, and granted, all we had to do was just put a 5 there, but we'll ignore that for now. And we'll say that Civis. Oh yeah, we said Civis sold all these maces. We'll say Thalys is selling 10 longbows. Let's make that wide enough. And sure, we'll say that Kugor is selling this mirror, and he's selling one of them. Okay, great. We've got a nice okay spread for the moment. Now let's spread that out just a little bit. Now for complete, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert I'm going to insert a checkbox here. And what these checkboxes are really good for is, I mean, obviously they're a nice easy way for you to kind of see, you know, if something is checked off a list or whatever the case may be. But also the checks and the not checks, if you look up here in the formula box, you can see that we've got false, and then if I mark it complete, we've got true. We can use these as part of our formulas. I'm going to show you guys how to do that here in just a minute, but first things first, I want to set it up so that we are able to track how much everybody is spending. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to come over here, start with the Sumif formula, and it's asking what is the range that we are looking at. I'm going to take this range right here. This is where we're searching for the names, or this is where the if criteria is. Oh, right, and what I want to do is, because I don't want these cells to move down, I'm going to go ahead and make these absolute references, so it's always going to check this list even as I copy this formula down. The criterion is that it has to be the same as this, and the range, where are the numbers that we're actually adding up? They're over here. And same thing, I'm going to hit F4 to make sure that it does not change where it goes. And go ahead and hit enter. We are good to go on that front. Google Sheets is nice enough to autofill the rest of this for me. And now that we have this all ready to go, we can kind of see who is going to cost how much, and so on and so forth. Now, we're actually going to change this. This was just very quickly that I could show you guys how to get into here. You know, easily able to keep track of this moving forward, is we're going to make this a table, and we'll call this the market ledger. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to do Sumif. The range is going to be the seller column of our market ledger. The criterion is going to be the name that we're looking at right there. It has to equal that. And then where we're actually adding the numbers up is going to be in the ledger's cost column. That's all we have to do. Same thing, but because it's a table, because we're referencing the table here, if I add to this, and I certainly can, let's just go ahead and put, let's put 5 here, and then let's put 15 down here. It's automatically going to add to the table. It's automatically going to continue the formula down here. And I can go ahead and plug in somebody else's name, and let's just say grappling hooks, and look at that. Cougar's bill just went pretty high up. So yeah, and as you guys just add more and more entries to this, you'll be able to continuously keep track of everybody's prices. Here's something else I want to set up. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do well, no, let's not do it up there. Let's do it here. Sumif, and this time we're going to check that range. We're going to see if it is complete or not. And if it is, oh no, actually we want to see if it's false. Sorry. If it's false, then we're going to add up the cost. So what this is telling us, this is giving us the total bill, essentially. So let's just say the total, and then once the players pay their bill, so to speak, you can go ahead and hit the checkbox there, and they're good to go. And if you want to do the same thing over here, what we can go ahead and do, and let me actually, let me move this down just one, because I don't like it being in the header row like that. All right, now in order to fix this, we're actually going to have to make this just a teeny bit more complicated. We're going to make this the Sumifs formula. And so we're going to have to change this around a little bit. Delete this, start fresh. We're going to start with Sumifs. The sum range is going to be the cost. The first criterion range, let's just take the seller, and we'll say that it has to equal that. The second range is going to be our complete column, and we need to see if false. Now if I uncheck, well, first let's paste these. Now if I uncheck these, we've got that. And if I check them, then everybody's paid their bill. And if you ever need to add anybody else in here, feel free to do so. Like if you need to add the blacksmith because the players bought five daggers, then you can go ahead and do that. Now there's two things you can do here. I'm going to do it the easier way. We're just going to say that, yeah, let's just say that the party bought some daggers. And we're going to say they bought -5 of them. Not sure why that went away. And let's give, let's say Hazel bought them. Now Hazel has a negative bill. So now we know we have to take away 15 gold from Hazel. That's the easier way to do it. Another thing that you can do is you can add a helper column in here for buying and selling. And then you can kind of, you know, add another sum if here, or you can kind of make it negative if that shows up. But I honestly think that just making the quantity a negative number and then it's going to multiply by the negative number, you'll get the same result either way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much does it for this episode of Spreadsheet Gaming. Let's go ahead and call this the Market Ledger. I'll see you guys next time.